meant to show you this. Look at this, right? I got this at the weekend. You know what this is? It's a snore guard. I don't know if it works. Yeah, I haven't tried it. So you stick this in your mouth, and it's supposed to lower the tongue and sort of make it more difficult to snore. So you put this in. Wow, attractive, isn't it?
Oh, you don't watch Friends, do you? Joey
No,
gets one on Friends.
no.
That's so Joey right now.
I think this looks really attractive. Greetings, EastEnders fans, and welcome to another episode of Albert Square After Dark, your weekly EastEnders podcast. This week, discussing the episodes broadcast between the 13th and the 16th of November, 2023. Hello, how are you? I'm all right. Just woken up, you'd be surprised to know. My delightful partner, Ree, will tell me more. All right, Ree, how are you?
I'm fantabby-dozy, Rob. You, on the other hand, come on, should we tell everyone?
Yes,
I've just been ringing Rob incessantly, thinking he's forgotten we're recording. We're recording at a different time of day today.
Yes.
Well, we're recording the night before that we usually record.
Yeah.
And Rob was missing.
Look,
MIA, is that the term? Is that the missing in air? No.
Missing no.
Missing on land. MOL, he was.
MOL, that's
missing
what I was.
on land.
MOL, missing because I was in bed. That's the anagram we'll use. No, so basically, I obviously work nights, as people who listen to this podcast regularly will know. And I'm supposed to get up earlier than I normally do, so we record this because Ree's unavailable tomorrow. And my alarm was just like, no, I ain't doing that. No. I can't be asked to do a time that I don't normally go off for. Absolutely not. So I woke up and Ree's constantly ringing me. And honestly, it's just all been frantic the past 15 minutes. I've had to grab all my notes together and throw something vaguely presentable on. So if I look rougher than usual, I apologise. I can't do anything about it. But Ree looks beautiful, as she always does. So this week I might sound slightly insane at some points this week because I'm only on my third sip of tea so far for my day. But there we go.
I may sound insane because I'm at the other end. I'm ready for bed.
Yeah, you're ready for bed.
Let's hope this goes all right.
I'm
just
sure.
Just remember the effort we put in, please.
Honestly. Right, okay then. So this week anything might happen, all right? So let's crack on, shall we? In this week's Albert Square After Dark. So let's kick off this week with talking about Cindy, Ian, Bobby, Peter and Rocky. So obviously last week...
And Kathy.
And obviously last week, the Cath exploded in spectacular fashion. Lots of people injured. Well, I say lots. Some people were injured. This week, most people are okay, considering that Bobby got blown across the cafe in a gas explosion, smashed under a table, unconscious, and then had a ceiling collapse on him whilst he'd been inhaling a load of fire and smoke. Bobby's all right in the grand scheme of things.
Fine.
Yeah, I think Bobby's fine. Rocky's okay. A couple of ibuprofen, he'll be all right. The only person that's really in danger is Peter, who is currently on a ventilator. And Cindy and Ian were away last week, inconveniently. They've returned this week to discover everything that's gone on. So we start the week with Cindy and Ian arriving in the hospital. Poor Bobby straight away. Like, he's only just recovered from this, and he's already getting abuse from Cindy, who clearly could not care less whether he lived or died. She kind of ignores Bobby, rushes in, and discovers that Peter is on this ventilator. So, I mean, were you surprised by sort of the lack of injuries from anybody else?
Well, yes and no, because obviously it's a soap.
This is what happens, isn't it? This is what happens. I mean, in a lot of ways, soap characters are made of Teflon because they can survive almost anything unless the story requires them to do otherwise. Which, it's fine. I'm taking the mick. But the most dramatic person to have been on death's door at this moment was going to be Peter, wasn't it? It was the one with the most stakes attached to him in terms of all the other characters.
Yeah, definitely had the most effect, didn't he? Well, they could have maybe shown that he got injured more in the fire so that it would have been a bit more believable, at least. Like,
Bobby.
Maybe him and Bobby should have been the other way around or something.
Do you know, I was looking online because I'm this sort of person. I looked online and was like, "What's it like to be in a gas explosion?"
Yeah. What did
Yeah,
it
yeah.
say?
Well, apparently, chances are that you will have internal injuries because of the force of the blast. It depends what sort of blast you're having. I mean, I think maybe in terms of gas explosions, the one that happened in the cafe was reasonably tiny because a gas explosion, you'd expect the whole building to be completely and utterly obliterated, and it's still
Mm,
standing. It's a shell of its
the
former
shell's
self.
there. Yeah.
Yeah, the shell is of its former self, but it's still kind of standing. But it was just that kind of, it's that typical soapy thing, isn't it? But it was quite sad to sort of see the cath sort of all just like I say a wreck, a shell, a burnt out sort of a sort of mess. How long do you think it'll be before the cafe is open for business again?
Well, that's a hard question, isn't it? Because it now looks like they're not going to get the insurance money.
Yes.
So it kind of all depends on that, or is somebody else going to buy it and take it
Yeah.
on? Is it
Now,
even going to be a cafe again? They're going to
who
change it to
knows?
something
It could
else.
be anything, couldn't it? It could be a bubble tea shop. That's the thing now, isn't it? I tried bubble
That is a
tea
thing.
recently. It's very nice. I quite enjoyed it. You
Is
ever
it?
tried it?
I've never,
Well, it's
I've
I
never
say
had it
nice.
actually.
I say nice. It's basically like you get you get like it's kind of like a flavored sort of juicy drink.
Yeah, I
Basically,
know what
they
it is.
call it
Yeah.
tea, but it's not really tea. And the bubbles are like really kind of thin, plasticky but edible plastic, which I didn't even think was a thing. Things that just explode in your mouth. It's quite tasty.
Well, but did you know, I read an article which had put me off bubble tea,
Oh
that
yeah.
somebody swallowed one without chewing it and something happened to their insides because of it.
There's always one, isn't there? There's always one where
Yeah.
something
So make
stupid happens
sure,
to.
make sure if you have your bubble tea, you chew your
Hey,
bubbles. I
that's
don't
the
know
next.
anything about it,
That could be
but
the next story, isn't it? It's the character gets sued because of internal damage from bubble tea. There we are.
well,
Right. So now
we're
I know that
digressing a lot.
I've definitely only been awake 20 minutes when I'm talking about that. Wow. Yes, but as you say, the insurance is
Yes.
a no-go, which makes the
Hmm.
whole thing, as far as Rocky is concerned, a complete and utter waste. So he's blown up his wife's business for no reason whatsoever, really. So he's in even more trouble when this gets found out.
Well,
Be- Go on.
sorry, I'm going to say, is that because, so I'm probably skipping ahead a little bit, but obviously when Kathy gets arrested and questioned,
Mm.
they say, did you know about it when you renewed your insurance? Did I miss something? Did we see her renewing her
There was a
insurance
thing. I do
recently?
remember I do remember there being a brief mention about insurance because if you remember, Rocky ended up going through some documents. And I think Reese walked in on him, and that I think that had spawned from a conversation that they'd been having about the insurance. So it was a brief mention, but I do vaguely remember insurance or something being
Okay.
mentioned before it all kicked off. But yeah, because Kathy knew about the electrics and knew that something was going to go wrong, then she's kind of she screwed herself basically. So the investigators are all sort of obviously trying to find out what happened. Meanwhile, Cindy is just lashing out at anybody close to her, especially Bobby, who she turns around to her and at one point, because in her mind, Peter rushed in to save Bobby. So as far as she's concerned, Bobby is nearly responsible for killing two of her children, which is not a great position
Well,
to be in.
do you know, a part of me, like, don't get me wrong, Cindy was being
Oh,
horrendous this
horrendous this
week.
week. Yeah, absolutely.
However, Bobby did kill her daughter.
He did.
And now that she's in the position,
You can see her thinking, can't you? Yeah, you can see where she's
yeah,
coming
and
from.
she's done pretty well all this time to not be saying anything. And then now her other son is in, a
Yeah,
life-threatening position, and it's kind of because of Bobby,
in a
but
warped way because of Bobby. Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
to be fair, you kind of wonder. It's lucky that Bobby's really had to contend with is a glass of wine being thrown at him,
Yeah, to
because
be honest.
yeah, Cindy is. I get where Cindy is coming from because it's Cindy, and I understand her thinking. But yeah, you're absolutely right. She was horrendous to Bobby this week. I really, really felt for Bobby. I mean, imagine waking up from
I felt
that.
for Cindy though as well.
Did you?
Sorry.
What? There's actually a modicum of sympathy for Cindy for you, is there?
Yeah, because he killed a daughter at end of the day. I don't think I could be nice to
Accidentally.
somebody who killed. Well,
Well,
she doesn't know Bobby like everyone else, though, does she?
no.
And she sees him as the person who killed her daughter, and
Mm,
that's who she's always going to see him as. And now she's in this awful position where she might be losing another one of her children. I can see why she went off. Don't get me wrong, I love Bobby.
yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah.
I absolutely love Bobby, but
But you
I
get it.
actually,
You get it.
yeah,
You know, it's I do feel for Bobby, and and I just want to protect Bobby when Cindy goes at him because he's got no chance against Cindy. I really, really want Bobby at some points because obviously the pair of them seemed to have a conversation this week which suggested that Cindy was kind of ready to move on from it. I don't believe a second of it, mind. Do you? I don't believe that she meant a word of that. But um, what I would really, really like is for one day Bobby to just fly back at her and go, do you want to talk about the fact that you had my dad nearly killed? Shall we talk about that, Cindy, while we're on the subject of things that we regret? Yeah, shall we talk about that? So maybe that's coming one day, but I'm interested to sort of see how the Cindy Bobby dynamic is going to develop over the coming months. It's going to be interesting.
I mean, she pretty much just said what she said to him because she wanted to get back with Ian and she needed to live back in a house,
Exactly.
didn't she?
Yeah, so I don't believe any of this.
No,
It's
I'm not
interesting.
convinced.
So yes, because as we say, because of what she said to Bobby, Ian basically splits up with her. Now I absolutely love the fact that Ian is now so protective over Bobby. I really like that because it actually gives Ian a really a nice, a well needed nice side to his character that he is prepared to fight tooth and claw for Bobby and sort of defend him. I like that. I think that's a good portion of his character to be that ready to stand up for Bobby despite what Bobby has done. I think that's good.
Yeah, I agree. I
Mm.
think the fact that I'm actually surprised because we get the impression that he just all he's ever wanted in life is Cindy. He pretty much said that. But the fact that he's standing up for Bobby over Cindy, yeah, too right. But also he knows what Cindy's like, doesn't he? Let's be honest. So
Yeah, I mean, this is the thing with Ian. You know, when it comes to women, he's completely blind. You know, I think he's more aware, I think, than he normally is with Cindy. Because obviously he's so worried about George, and Cindy keeps giving him reasons to be worried about George. Because once they've had this falling out, Cindy sort of basically goes running to George. George is supportive. How long are we giving it before these two end up in bed together? Because it can't be that much longer.
Well, Rob, you asked me this a bit ago, right?
I
And
thought
you
they'd
were
be in bed
adamant it
by
were going to
now.
be next week.
I genuinely thought it would have happened by now. They're not far off, are they? It's coming, but it's
Yeah, I don't know. It depends how long they want to give it, doesn't it? There's got to be something big that's going to bring them together. So maybe Gina or Anna's
I
going to have
mean,
something happen.
yeah, I mean, you kind of think, what else could it be? So obviously we've had Cindy at her
Mm.
absolute edge because of what's going on with Peter. So presumably something needs to happen with George.
Well, we had a little mention of George Jr. this week. Did you
Didn't we
notice?
just? Yes, I did indeed notice that. That's interesting. Yes, well, I hear tell that next
Is this a
year
spoiler, Rob?
might be it's maybe a rumor,
A rumor.
a rumor slash spoiler. Next year we should be meeting some new knights. So you've got to imagine that George Jr. is going to be one of those, and maybe George Jr.'s mother. I don't think we know too much about her, so she might be kind of kicking around somewhere.
All we know about George Senior and George Junior is that they don't seem to get along, do they?
No, and there was another hint this week from Cindy that apologies are needed to be said, but George isn't going to be the one that does it. So something has kicked off between George and his son, which we don't yet know about, but I'm looking forward to seeing what's gone on there. So it's nice to know that there's more sort of scope. I mean, we knew it was because they're in the Vic, but it's nice to know that there's some more scope planned for the nights after whatever is going to kick off at Christmas. So yeah, that's there. It is interesting. It removes George from the suspect list, though, I would argue, if he was ever really on it. If he was ever really on it, but
yeah, he was a little bit, I think, but yeah, I think that takes him off it.
Have to wait and see. So Peter obviously is on the ventilator. So Cindy discovers about the electrics. So her natural way of dealing with this is to report Kathy to the police. To say that basically Kathy knew full well what was going on here and basically implied to the police that Kathy was doing an insurance scam. So Kathy gets arrested. I loved Kathy being interviewed by the police because most of the time she looked absolutely bored as hell as she was waiting to be interviewed. As I said, I've got much better things to be doing than be sitting here.
I mean, look, Kathy, I admire you, and you know the fact that you knew how innocent you were. But even if I was innocent and I was in that position, I'd be getting a solicitor involved, all right?
Why do they never do this? They never get solicitors do that. When the character knows they're innocent, they always say, "No, I don't need a solicitor. It's your job to prove that." It's like, no, you need a solicitor. Stop it.
Have you ever watched a soap? Like,
No.
don't you know by now that you need a solicitor even if you're innocent?
Honestly. So I don't know what she was planning on doing other than saying it wasn't me, and the police were going to go, oh, sorry, our mistake. Off you go. Then you're free to go. Sorry about that. Yes. So the interviews sort of continue, and Rocky obviously is racked with guilt, not helped by Harvey, who goes absolutely mad at Rocky this week. Can't say I blame him, but it was a bit of a sort of feisty side to Harvey that we've not really seen for quite a long time. Kind of pins him up against the wall and goes, "You look what you've done." Um, do you think Harvey is going to be the one that sort of blows this all up, or do you think it's going to be Nish who works out what has gone on pretty damn quickly?
I mean, Nish seems like the obvious choice, and then is adding on to another person's suspect
This is the
list. If that
this is the
makes
other thing. I mean, he's definitely going to be in sort of Kathy's zone of someone that she might go for. Yeah.
But why would he really? He's not really going
Well,
to gain anything from it.
so he says so. Nish, like I say, works out exactly what went on in about the grand total of about 5 seconds. And says to Rocky, well, yeah, you've impressed me. Wow, yeah. So let's cancel that debt. How about that? Because you're going through much right now, and you're kind of looking at this going, yes, but because you're not just going to
But
cancel this debt. Nish has decided that he wants the land for the calf for his own purposes, basically, and he wants Rocky to persuade Kathy to sell it to him for clearly a discounted price. So that just adds another problem on top of Rocky's ever increasing list of problems that he's got to deal with.
do you reckon he'll be back at? Do you reckon he'll be back at Bucky's next week? Then now the
You
insurance
never know.
paying out.
You never know. With this mad gambling addiction he's got, it could happen. I bet we never hear the word gambling again.
I wonder.
It's.
I know.
But he's running out of options, so it may well be that he ends up back
Possibly.
at the. He may well end up back at the booking shop.
Mm.
So Cindy and Ian make up more or less, because after Cindy and Bobby have this conversation, and Ian can see that Cindy is attempting to make some sort of effort after he discovers that she basically just went crying to George. And then Cindy invites Kathy to she seems to be trying to make some form of effort to sort of bring that group together, even though I don't believe a word of what she's saying.
No.
She's still basically implying that yes, I want to be with you, Ian. I want to, I love you and all that kind of thing. I always struggle whenever Cindy says that to Ian because I don't even believe that. I don't believe that especially now she knows George is on the square. I think she's just biding her time to work out how to get back into bed with George. Surely, isn't she?
If George was single and willing to take her back, she'd be there like that.
Of course she
Like
would.
if she had to pick between them, I
Of course she
think
would.
that's very apparent. But what's striking me as more odd, if I'm honest with you, obviously, Rocky got Kathy out of this situation by saying, "I tried to fix the electrics."
Yeah, and because
So
it's Walford
apparently
Police,
that's okay.
that was all they
That's it.
needed. Yeah, Walford Police would go, oh, right, oh, sorry, our mistake. Everyone's free to go, and we won't investigate the matter any further.
Well,
Walford Police.
this is my issue with it, because then Kathy and Ian are quick to forgive Cindy.
Yeah.
It's like, well, Kathy's completely off the hook, so they're adamant then. Kathy is 100% off the hook because of what Rocky said. They've got no problem with Rocky saying, "I tried to fix the electrics."
Kathy's not even got a problem with Rocky for fixing the electrics. It seems like she's like, oh well, at least you tried. You blew my business up.
No.
But
He said, "Oh, it's all right. It's a little white lie." So she knows that he didn't try to fix the electric. She thinks it was just an accident.
yeah, that's true. Yeah, but it's sort of that also, like, you're right. That seemed to be very easily sort of swept aside. The police, I can't believe the police were just like, oh right, okay, fair enough. Like that's, I mean, I can. It's Walter Police, but it's yeah, that was quite easily sorted. I thought. So what's the next stage of this now? Do you think this is now going to be about Rocky trying to persuade Kathy to sell the calf to Nish, or he's going to have to work out some lie where, because if they're not going to get the insurance money, then his best form of attack now surely is to try and persuade Kathy. Well, we're not going. We're not. That's the only way we're going to get any money out of this situation. And Nish, probably knowing Nish, is going to really sort of lowball the offer and like make it nowhere near close to what it's worth, isn't he?
Yeah, but he's got to make it a bit close, otherwise Kathy's going to go, absolutely not. So he's got to be kind of reasonable to an extent.
He has, but if she's got no insurance money coming, that's the only option that she's going to have, surely, isn't it?
Yeah, but she might be able to get someone to give her a bit more money for the land if it's that valuable than what he's offering. So I don't know. I think Rocky's going to struggle to do that, but My other thinking in all this is Bobby going to remember that there was a fire to start with, and then another fire happened. Is that going to be relevant at all down the line? Has he got
I
any
don't
memory
know.
of it all?
I mean, the fact, yeah, he walked in and sort of the kitchen surface was ablaze. There was no reason as to why it would have blown up at that point.
Yeah,
Mind you, then you can because the way that it played out actually wasn't Rocky's fault because Bobby was the
yeah, it
one that
was.
accidentally turned the gas on. So actually, no, I don't think that will. I don't think that will come up again because
You
the
don't.
fact that it the fact that it
Blew up.
blew up. Thank you, grammar. The fact that it blew up. I think the investigators should at least be able to work out. Well, that was gas related, so there was nothing, and so that was clearly that bit was clearly an accident. So I think the initial fire itself was because of faulty electrics, but then the rest of it was just sort of poor circumstance with what was going on at the
Mm.
time. So yeah, I don't think so. But the only two people obviously now that know fully about what went on is Nish and Harvey. I don't think I don't think Harvey's going to be the one that spills it. I think it's going to be Nish because I think that Nish will basically just manipulate Rocky until he's got no other options, and then tell Kathy, and then we're in maybe Christmas area, which firmly puts Rocky as a suspect on the floor, I guess. But I don't think that Rocky is going to be on
Oh,
the floor.
what about Kathy's trailer?
Yes, well, we had Kathy's trailer released this week or at the end of last week. Very different to the rest, I thought. So all the other women sort of look a bit scared and sort of tentative. Kathy's busy hacking away at some tulips on a chopping board, looking really, really angry and on the attack. So that's interesting.
Oh my god! I should have known they were tulips.
It's all right. I
I've
thought they
been
were
thinking.
roses.
So did I. I've been
Yeah, I thought
thinking
they
they
were
were roses,
roses.
and it was something to do
And
with
I said this,
Cindy.
and I said yes, exactly. So did I. I made that leap immediately, and then I said on Twitter, "Oh my god, Kathy's cutting up roses," and then literally the whole of the horticultural side of Twitter was just like, "They're tulips, you idiots." I was like, "Oh, sorry,
All right,
sorry."
sauce,
I know.
sauce.
Um,
But I mean, it's pretty relevant to be fair. But
yeah, still. But yeah. So, what do you think? Was there anything that you sort of picked out of Kathy's trailer other than the fact that she looked angry and on the attack? Is that not a bit obvious that it's Kathy? Are they trying to lead us down that direction?
well, I thought they were roses until 2 minutes ago, so I would think
Yeah.
it was something to do with
Yeah,
Cindy.
so I'm glad it wasn't
So
just me. I'm glad it wasn't just me that believed that. Um, the other thing that's worth thinking about is was actually in Stacey's trailer. Now this is niche sort of looking for stuff here, all the little clues that they're going to put in. So if you think back to Stacey's trailer, she's got writing on her mirror that she's looking at, which says "in a flash," right? And in the words and the S in flash is actually a 5, and Kathy's is the 5th trailer to be released. As if I
oh, for
don't look at me,
goodness
don't look at me
sakes!
as though I worked all this out by myself. I look at it, I look at theories online. The people are much better at this than I am, but that would indicate that maybe Kathy's trailer is the one to look at. But I don't at the moment really see why Kathy would be the killer because it's not this. I don't think would be enough for her to turn into a
I
killer.
mean, it's probably just implies that she's angry and she's found out
No, she's
about
angry.
everything
Yeah,
with Rocky, and
yeah.
I don't know. I honestly don't know. I don't know. And
Uh,
we're what, a month away?
Oh, it's so
Just
close.
over.
We're actually really close, just over a month away from discovering who it is and who's on the floor. It's very exciting. The only trailer we don't have so far is Suki's, which I think
Mm-hmm.
you'll find we theorized about a couple of weeks ago.
Mm.
Obviously the run up to Suki and Eve, that's all going to be discovered in the next few weeks. So that's presumably going to lead into Suki's trailer, which will firmly put Nish on the suspect list. Yeah, I mean, at this moment, I'd say it's my suspect list is Nish and then Dean. But yeah, I mean, with now him doing this
Oh
with
well.
Kathy, it puts Nish even more in the limelight for me. So, what are your thoughts?
Well, I've got a new suspect
Oh, go on.
actually.
Who's your new suspect?
Alfie,
Alfie. Why would it be Alfie?
because he's getting very involved with all the Linda and Dean stuff, and I
Right.
wondered if Dean and Alfie somehow going to get into a
Oh, I
a
see. So
fight,
you,
fight, fight, or something like that.
oh, right. So you think that Dean might turn killer and then,
Yeah,
oh, interesting,
yeah.
interesting.
Mm.
Could be. Yeah, it's just exciting. It's so close now. It feel like in a couple of weeks we will be in December, and then we'll actually be in the month where we find out. It's been such a long run up to this, and it's very very exciting. Um, So yeah, we'll have to wait and see. So yeah, so I think this is the week that was supposed to kind of be suspecting that Kathy might kill Rocky. That's what the trailer is kind of implying. I'm not convinced though. I don't think Rocky's going to be on the floor, but there's every possibility he might be. On to the Knights now, and Linda and Dean. So Linda obviously is still rather unsettled by everything. Alfie is back this
Back.
week. Alfie's back this week. We've not seen Alfie for a little while. Now I was a bit confused by this. Was the implication that he went to Spain and then sort of just had time on his own to sort of and just spent too much time thinking and all that kind of thing? Because I thought the implication was that he, for a minute, was that he literally just been staying in his flat the entire time and had just pretended that he'd gone to Spain. But he did go to Spain, didn't he?
Yeah, he did actually go to Spain. I don't think
Mm.
he went when he said. I don't know how long he was there for.
A while, I think.
I mean, he's had a tan and dyed his hair while he was there.
Yes.
Um,
But he has been to the hospital. He goes to the
yes.
hospital this week and discovers that there are still cancerous cells left after his operation, so he still has cancer. Now, for a, for a difference for this story now, he's actually very upfront and honest about it straight away with everybody that needs to hear it. 'Cause Linda goes with him, so Linda knows straight away. When he gets back to the square, Kat sees him and starts immediately having a go at him. And then Alfie just basically blurts it out. So I like the fact now that this is where it is, this story, and that people now know about it. Kat and Alfie, let's have a brief chat about them. They are, I mean, Kat still clearly cares for Alfie, and for understandable reasons. Um, do you think that? I mean, it's the same sort of thing as with Cindy and George. How long before Kat and Alfie are sort of brung back together? Do you think?
You know, I think as much as I said I didn't want this to happen, I
Mm.
think Alfie might be starting to like Linda,
Yeah,
and
I mean,
maybe
I've got no objection to Alfie and Linda, if I'm honest. I think they work quite well together.
they do, but I just liked them as a friendship. I didn't want it to get
Oh yeah,
complicated.
yeah.
Um, but I'm wondering if Alfie's gonna like Linda, and then Kat will end up wanting Alfie when he don't want her, and it'll be like, oh, here we go. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah, I mean, the Linda and Alfie dynamic is quite nice to watch. It's nice. I mean, yeah, I always sort of would prefer friendship over relationship anytime between two characters. It tends to be more interesting, if I'm honest, because you sort of
Yeah,
those dynamics don't tend to be explored all that often. That said, I can see them having a relationship of some form at some point, even if it's just like a one night stand or something. Because Alfie is very keen to sort of jump to Linda's defences with everything that goes on with Dean. But with the Alfie stuff, we'll just kind of finish off with the fact that he tells Tommy this week. He basically
yeah.
confesses to Tommy they have a meal in the restaurant, and tells Tommy that he's got cancer. I thought Tommy kind of dealt with it quite well, considering that Tommy has a tendency to kick off about things. So I kind of thought that Tommy dealt with it very maturely and sort of was just like, right, okay, so are you going to die? And Alfie's like, no, 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 I'm not going to die. I don't think Alfie is going to die. I think we're not in that level of cancer storyline. I think it's more a case of just sort of talking about the topic of prostate cancer and what can happen and what needs to happen, and sort of watching Alfie deal with the implications of what he's going through at the moment.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to die either. But yeah, Tommy handled it very well, didn't he? Quite
Mm,
mature as our
yeah.
Tommy.
Yes, all of a
Mm.
sudden, yes. So, yeah, the whole thing with Tommy is interesting. I wonder if this is going to be something that kind of plays on his mind, and then he reacts to it a bit further down the line. Like I wonder if he starts to struggle with it in the coming weeks.
Yeah, I was wondering that. Is he going to start getting a bit scrappy again with people
Yeah.
and taking his anger out on them? Needs to get back down that boxing den, doesn't he?
Yes, if it's a violent teenager, all you need to do is send them to learn how to do violence properly. That's the that's the way to do it. No, to be fair though, there is. I was reading about this, and someone said it in the comment section that actually sending someone like that to a boxing ring is actually a really healthy thing to do. Like it kind of channel their anger in a constructive way and sort of teach them how to kind of let it out in the right places.
Yeah.
So it is a good thing for Tommy to be doing. So yeah, so the next stage of this with Alfie, what do you think? I think it's just a case of just sort of the recovery process. He's now got to take sort of hormones and everything that you'd expect in this sort of scenario. What is the next stage of this? Do you think? I think is it just now the recovery process, and then that ultimately he's going to be okay, and it's sort of more about the
Yeah.
implications going on around him and the impact on Tommy and his relationship with Kat. I think that's more what we're going to be focused on here, isn't it?
Well, this is it, and it's going to be one of those. Oh, we could have lost you. Things. Is it going to make
Mm,
him and Kat realize
yeah,
life's too short and all that? I
yeah,
think
yeah,
that's
yeah,
going to
yeah.
be the big moral of all this for us, isn't it? Life's
Well,
too short, and what's going to
exactly.
happen?
Exactly. Well, obviously, Phil is going to have some other stuff kicking off fairly soon, as soon as he finds that out. So I wonder if the two stories together are going to be the thing that sort of ultimately breaks Cat and Phil up.
And also, Alfie knows about Phil and Emma,
Yes, that's
so
got to come out at some point, and I imagine
yeah,
that will come out
definitely.
at some point. So yeah, it's yes, much to kick off there. It's interesting.
Mm,
So, meanwhile, whilst all that's going on,
yes.
Linda is still trying to deal with Dean. Alfie sees Dean for the first time this week and
Mm.
is immediately sort of rightfully angry. What the hell is he doing here? Look at the impact that that's having on my mate. That's an. So the pair of them sort of come up with this plan. To kind of hand out a load of leaflets, which Gina designs, the best designed leaflets ever.
Oh
They
yeah,
hand
the little stick man that they drew
rapists
was
unwelcome.
amazing.
And they sort of hand these out around the square. Um, I don't know what they thought the implication was. Basically, the idea here was that no one was going to go into the shop, and they were going to sort of run Dean out of business and then effectively run him out of town. That was the plan.
Yeah.
But as Dean sort of points out to them, legally, I have done nothing wrong, so I've got much more legal rights here than you have. Amy sees one of the leaflets at one point and is all
Yeah.
upset about it, which I thought was a nice moment, actually. It was nice that they mentioned this, sort of talking about the relationship that Dean and Roxy had and the impact that now has on Amy. Jack goes around to see Linda in a really nice scene. I liked this scene a lot, where he was kind of like, "I get it, okay, I get everything that you're saying, and I get why you've done this, but this is the impact that this is having. All right, so I need you to not do this." So I really like that scene. I thought that was kind of really nicely played and really subtly done.
It was, and I just think it was a really stupid idea getting the flyers done. I don't understand. I don't like. Surely anyone knows that he has technically. I know that he's not, but he has been said not guilty, declared not
Yeah,
guilty. So it's going to be slander, isn't it? Like
yeah,
Elaine then says, like,
yeah.
come on,
Let's talk about Elaine for a second. There was a
excuse
moment
me,
with Elaine
keep
this
needing to
week.
sneeze. Yeah,
Yeah, so yeah, you're right. You don't need to sneeze. You're all good. You're all
yeah, I
good.
just keep needing to
Right.
sneeze, and I'm like, so
That
sorry.
annoying thing where you feel like you're going to sneeze and then your nose it's
Yeah.
literally torture, isn't it? It's Chinese water torture when your nose is doing that. Um, yeah. So a brief moment with Elaine this week, which I want to bring up.
Mhm. Mhm.
So they're talking, and Elaine's been supportive for Linda. There was something else last week that kind of tickled my synapses, but I can't remember what it was. But it was kind of brought up again this week. Something's happened with Elaine, hasn't it? Because she turns around to Linda and says, "Look, I know what you're going through more than you know.
Mm.
What's gone on there? I
Linda,
wonder."
even
Yeah, there was a
Linda were a bit
moment, wasn't
like,
there? There was a moment of sort
yeah,
of kind of confusion etched on Linda's face before they moved on from it. So something's gone on with Elaine, hasn't it?
yeah, it seems like it definitely. But
What
what?
could that be? Yeah, what could that be? Now
Not
the
with Linda's.
implication.
What was Go on.
Not what were you going to say?
Sorry, I was going to say what was Elaine's relationship with Linda's dad like?
As far as I know, all right. I can't remember
Yeah,
off the
that's what
top of my
I.
head, but I don't think there's been any sort of implications that Linda's dad was a bad person or anything.
No.
But I mean, anything could have happened. In the time that we haven't seen Elaine, or before she met George,
Mm,
or anything like that. But yeah, you sort of wonder, has Elaine been through something similar? You sort of wonder, would she have brought this up before if she has? So bearing in mind what Linda's gone through, you kind of wonder,
mm,
would Elaine have maybe brought this up sooner if that is what's gone on here? But something's gone on with Elaine, which is interesting.
definitely.
I'm intrigued to see this because it'd be nice to kind of give Elaine something like that, because obviously right now Elaine is in sort of lioness mode, protecting Linda, protecting the girls, going against Cindy. She's got nice stuff going on, but then something to sort of scratch away at the vulnerability of Elaine would be interesting to explore as well. So, watch this space. I wonder. The other thing that really sort of sets Linda off this week is that Dean comes face to face with Ollie for the first time this week. Well, not for the first time,
Oh,
but Ollie sort of recognizes Dean, and Dean introduces himself as Uncle Dean, which really isn't helpful. And Ollie draws a picture. Ollie is the cutest kid. I absolutely love Ollie. He's so
yeah, he
adorable.
is.
And he sort of comes in and goes, draw a picture. And he's drawn a family picture of everybody and then stuck Uncle Dean on the end, which is slightly awkward,
Now,
slightly uncomfortable for Linda.
Rob,
Yes.
is he Uncle Dean or is he Daddy Dean? I know that they had some kind of tests done,
Yes, they did have a test
but I
done.
get the impression that they weren't conclusive. And as we found out, home DNA tests aren't always that accurate. So
Well, I know what you mean. I have a feeling that I know because I think that the Dean and Mick thing, because there was a mystery. There was a question at one point about who's the
yeah,
kid.
and I think, and I'm pretty sure that they left it in the air and that it weren't
Oh, see, I
fully
don't.
confirmed.
Oh,
That's
you
what I've got
might be
in my
right.
head.
I can't remember. I got it in my head that they did it properly in the hospital.
I don't think, or it was something like they had like matching blood, but then because Mick and Dean were brothers, it could have been anyway. It was something like, I'm sure it were.
Yeah, I think
I
that was.
swear I remember Mick saying like, no matter what, I'll just bring them up as my own and we don't need to know or something. Let us know. I'm sure someone will remember exactly.
I'm trying to think. You might be right, but I had a feeling that it was kind of conclusively dealt with. But you might be right. I'm not sure.
And if that is the
And
case,
yeah,
well, what if Dean demands an actual DNA test again because Ollie could donate something that Jade needs or something, being a sibling or.
oh well, yeah, that's interesting. Yes, because obviously all of the reason
Mm.
that Dean is back at the moment is because of Jade. We're going to probably discover more about that in the coming weeks. But yeah, I think adding Ollie into the mix in whatever fashion Ollie is going to be added into the mix, it really kind of creates another sort of emotional layer for Linda. But this is the thing, and a perfectly good reason as to why Dean might be on the floor is because if throw Ollie into the mix, and Linda is going to come out fighting. So
It
it's
can't be Dean. You can't bring him back this late on and then put him on the floor. I'm
See,
sorry.
I know what you
No.
mean. No. I know what you mean. I agree to an extent, but at the moment now, we're still a month away from Christmas, and you can fit so much story in a month. I agree.
No.
It seems late down the line to be bringing Dean in for
No.
this, but
But then again, who is it? If it's not
exactly.
or
And let's
Nish,
be honest. In terms of who the bad people are, Nish and Dean are the two. Oh, the two. It's gonna. At the minute, I feel it's out of those two. To be
yeah.
honest, because thinking beyond Christmas, which apparently is when the six officially become the six.
Yes. Yeah.
You're talking about Nish and Dean, who are in many ways kind of similar in their crimes in terms of because we know Nish is effectively a rapist because of what he's done with Suki. You know, we know that's kind of going on in the background. And Dean is obviously Dean. So I remember on the flash forward it was kind of implied that these women are going to stick together and sort of defend each other from this, and there was that conversation between Kathy and Linda on the flash forward episode. They sort of implied that that was going to be enough to sort of bring them together and the ultimate defense. So in that regard, I feel like it's very much Nish and Dean that are the two top suspects for this. Arguably, you could see how Nish might manage to get more story out of his character beyond Christmas. For Dean, I don't know how far Dean can go.
Well, I've just told you. If Ollie's is Jade and all of that, or he's the killer. Dean's actually killed someone.
Well, this is the other theory: is that Linda, because in Linda's trailer, she's cleaning blood off the floor upstairs.
Yes, yeah,
So imagine if Dean dies on Christmas Day, but he's not the body.
yeah. Well, anything's possible. But I also wonder if Linda's going to go back to the drink, right?
Yeah.
And she's not actually going to remember anything of what's happened. So maybe
Yeah.
something happens upstairs.
Oh, yes, maybe. Because you're sort of wondering with Linda, like, what is it going to take now to push Linda off the wagon again? This is the sort of thing that very easily could push Linda off the wagon again. Yes, that's interesting. I mean, that would be a nice sort of one to throw into the mix. She doesn't look drunk on the flash forward because normally Linda's very obviously drunk when she's drunk.
Yeah, but she might not remember what's happened and just be cleaning blood up. She might have come round and been like, I've got a
Oh,
cut lip. There's blood
oh,
on the floor. I
yeah.
better clean
Oh,
that up.
yes. Oh, I don't know. Oh, I'm dying. I'm dying to know. I'm so dying to know.
What are we going to do after this, though? What's our
I know.
podcast going to be
I
around,
know.
Rob,
We'll
once
end it.
Christmas Day's happened?
We'll end it on Christmas. We've had all this build
All
up, and then
right.
we'll just be like, right, we'll have to go. We know who's on the floor now. Thank you
Bye.
very much for listening. Bye. Yes, it's very interesting. I can't wait. I cannot wait. It's very, very exciting. So what's next with Dean now, do you think? Where is this going to go from here?
I don't know, because I'm quite baffled at the fact that he's still walking around saying he's innocent. Does he believe that he's innocent? Like, he genuinely doesn't think that he did rape her, does he?
No, I think his mind is warped enough to think that because he never
That
has
no,
sort of he's never had that moment where, because this is something that tends to happen with rape stories quite a lot, is that you tend to have that moment between victim and perpetrator where they go, I need you to say it, I need you to say it out loud, and then the admission will happen, and then that sort of brings the story to a conclusion. We've never had that with Dean, because Dean has constantly sort of defended his innocence. But it doesn't seem that life's going to get any easier for Dean, because it's not like he's got anybody on his corner at the moment. And at the end of the week, we have a scene where somebody is spray painting on the pie and mash shop the word rapist. So that's going to sort of come out next week. Who did that?
Do you know who I think it was?
Who?
Priya.
Priya? Why Priya?
Yeah. Because the sleeve looked like the kind of jacket that she wears.
Uh-huh.
And because she had that moment when they were walking through the square when they were handing out the flyers,
Yeah,
where she said to Linda something about, keep up the good fight or
true.
something. And
Yes,
I thought, why?
very good. Yes.
And I just, she seemed genuine when she said it. And
yeah,
I was
know
like,
she did.
I don't know. I just thought it was Priya. That was my first instinct. Well, that's
why
Priya.
not? Sort of thing she'd do, it would seem, wouldn't it? Yeah, no, that could work. See, my thought was that I thought it might be George. I don't know why. I kind of got that.
Nah, spray paint's not his kind of vibe, I don't think.
But you think he'd just go in straight with his fists?
Yeah,
maybe.
I think he'd be a bit smarter about stuff. He wouldn't just go and spray paint. And plus, it's also Cindy's business. Would he go and do that on Cindy's?
Oh, that's true.
What's
Yeah,
going on?
yeah, I didn't think about that. Yeah, which so I'll.
Whereas someone like Priya, with what she said,
I would say
like
Priya
that
wouldn't care
moment were a
less.
bit. But for someone who doesn't know Linda to go up and say that to her, like it's you and you've got a big problem with rapists, and that's because actually Ivani is Ranveer's daughter, not Ravi's.
Oh, you've got all these twists sort of played and ready to go in your mind, haven't you? Good God. I mean, throw enough stuff at the wall, something's going to stick, right? You never know. You never know. You never know. Right, well, so let us know in the comment section, who do you think is spray painting on the pie and mash shop? I'm intrigued. That's all. I think we're probably going to find out quite quickly next week, but get your theories in the comments section below. Right, ladies and gents, next story is the Panasars and Eve has a date. Smallest story of the week now, and Eve's got a date. Eve has actually met somebody. Now let's talk about Tess. I liked Tess. I thought Tess was an interesting addition to it all. I can't see Tess being allowed to hang around for long, though. Can you? Or Tessa, I think her name was. Yeah, she's not going to be allowed to hang around for long, is she?
Bit stalkery though, isn't it? Like delivery.
No, not at all. I thought it was very romantic. You sort of deliver something, realize that this person in front of you is like, oh, I could imagine being with you, and then sort of find. I don't think she was stalking.
Wait to see him at a chicken shop.
No,
like, oh, your name's Eve, innit? I remember from that package, that parcel that I delivered to you. What were it? Oh, it was some sauce things, weren't it? I'd be like, who are you? Back off. But anyway.
I thought it was very romantic the way that she
sort of,
sorry. Yeah. You never know, but yes. So, but Eve's all up for this date. So Eve isn't put off by that. So she goes for this date in the restaurant. But I mean, obviously, this is just a ricochet from getting over Suki, isn't it? So I'm glad that we're finally returning to the Suki and Eve thing, because it feels like it's been months since we've really addressed this. So at the time when the date's going on, the Panasars are having like a family meal in the restaurant as well. And obviously what's happening is that Suki and Eve are far too distracted with staring at each other across the restaurant. Suki's sort of looking at Eve thinking, oh my God, she's got over me. Tessa's trying to have a romantic conversation with Eve, and Eve's paying no attention whatsoever.
She delivered.
Yeah. I wonder how in depth Tessa can go with conversations. Like there's a depth of her first date conversation. Well, about this parcel that I delivered. Bless her.
Well, it is her life, to be fair. You
Yeah.
know,
You
I
talk about your job.
jest.
You talk about your job
You do,
in
no,
dates,
you
don't
do,
you?
you do.
Yes.
And it was an interesting story how someone had a snake round the neck. So
Yeah, like why? I mean, yeah, I think that is something that you bring. It's a good icebreaker, isn't it? Like
yeah, yeah.
it's basically like she told the story as if she delivered the story to Britney Spears. You know, Britney had just opened the door with this massive python around her neck. I anyway. So the Suki and Eve stuff is now officially back on. We're looking at the story. So what's going to happen here? Do you think? Do you reckon that Tessa and Eve are going to start sort of properly dating, and Suki's going to somehow get rid of Tessa? What's going to happen? What's going to
And
happen? Do
then
you think?
Suki's going to be like, "Oh, Eve, I still love you though." No,
Yes.
sorry, I was saying that in an Eve accent.
It's hard to tell. It's hard to tell.
Suki'll say to Eve, "No, I still love you. I've seen you with this Tessa, or whatever she's called. And
Mm.
no, it's all for me." And Eve will be like, "Well, Suki, if you're not going to leave Nish, I'm not doing it." And
Yeah,
then
I mean,
somehow they'll end up back together.
I think now we're in the run up. Something is going to happen here to bring them back together, and then we're now going to be we're starting the journey towards Nish finding out about it, because obviously Nish noticed that Suki was somewhat distracted. I don't think he kind of quite clocked what was distracting her, but he noticed that something was going on with her. I mean, it's just I wonder. Yeah, I mean, I don't know how Tessa is going to react to all this. Tessa kind of gives me the impression that if something annoys her, then she might go a bit mad. I don't know. It's like I think she seems perfectly nice and lovely. I like Tessa, and I wish her well in life. If I'm honest, I hope she finds somebody, another
But you don't know
romantic.
what you've got yourself involved in, love.
No,
So run.
seriously, you have no idea the madness that you get yourself involved with here, Tessa. Run for the hills, I'm telling you now. But yeah, that's all that was really going on this week. Like but the implication was that sort of Eve took Tessa back to hers and
Oh yeah.
got it on. So Tessa's clearly going to be thinking, "Oh, this is going very well. This is all working out well." So at some point, Eve's going to have to let her down somewhat gently, isn't she?
Yeah, it seems like it. Well, we know it's going to end like that somehow.
We know it's
Or
going to end very, very badly.
is she just going to cheat on Tessa and keep up a front so no one suspects her and Suki? Who knows?
Maybe. You've got to something else is going to have to happen with Nish for Suki to go running back to Eve, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh, I don't know. I think it'll be more that she sees her with this Tessa that'll make her. I mean, what more can Nish do? We know she don't want to be with him. Let's be
Sleep with
honest.
Priya?
I've seen a spoiler, so I don't want to say anything.
Oh, this is why you don't look at the spoilers.
I can't help it. They just appear on my feed. I don't ask for them.
I mean, I'm intrigued to see where the Nish and Priya stuff's going to go, because that's clearly being hinted at as well. That Priya's definitely got intentions on Nish. Whether they are reciprocated or not is another matter altogether. But something's going to happen with Priya. This is what I think is going to happen. Something's going to happen with Priya.
Well,
Priya's going to try and at the very least, Priya is going to make a move on Nish. And Suki's going to discover that, and then that will be sort of enough to sort of push her back towards Eve, and then that's going to start off again, and then Nish is going to somehow find out, possibly via Priya.
Priya will find out.
Priya will find out. Yeah, Priya's going to find out something that's going to go on, and he's going to blackmail Suki for a little bit, and then it's all going to come out in huge cataclysmic fashion. We have been told by Chris Clenshaw that when this does come out, all hell breaks loose. That's all we know. I mean, obviously, all hell's going to break loose because of the characters involved, but he's specifically made us kind of know that this is going to be explosive when this comes out, so I can't wait. It's one of my favourite stories on the show at the moment, I have to say, the Suki and Eve thing, so I'm really interested to sort of see how this is all going to play out. We're not far from Christmas, Nish is clearly going to do something utterly abhorrent to really stick himself on top of the suspect list, so yeah, I can't wait. Final story of the week now, ladies and gents, and we are on to Sharon, Keanu, and Daddy Phil. Twisty, twisty, twisty. I liked this. What do you think? What do you think of this big old twist?
plot twist.
Right,
What?
right.
And now I'm thinking about it. Albie does look a little bit like Phil, you know.
I mean, the thing is with this, I can remember thinking at the time when they did the DNA test for Albie, I remember thinking at the time, there's leg room for them to play around with that later if they want to, and apparently they wanted to. So it would transpire, ladies and gents, that Keanu is not the daddy of Albie, but Phil is. Because if anyone needs more kids on the square, it's Phil. Raymond ain't gonna get a look
Definitely.
in, bless him. Like Raymond may as well just be completely and utterly forgotten about.
Who?
Exactly. So it transpires because obviously everything that happened with the kidnapping, Albie went for blood tests to make sure that all is well. And the doctor discovers, I've never heard of this. This almost sounds so obscure. Like it's niche. But so it turns out that Albie has a condition known as AADT alpha 1 antitrypsin deficiency, which apparently is something that can lead to liver and kidney disease later on in life. He's okay at the moment, but the key thing in this is that for Albie to have this gene, both parents need to have it. So Sharon has got the gene, and obviously it's a bit complicated with Sharon's adoption history that she doesn't know about, like previous illnesses in her immediate families. That's understandable. And then Keanu has the blood test as well, and Keanu ain't got the gene. So by that, the doctor is able to work out quite easily that he's got a Jeremy Kyle situation in front of him, and that Sharon is has got something to deal with now. I mean, I loved this scene with the doctor because the doctor kind of at one point looked at Sharon, and you could literally see in his face, "You utter slag."
Rob, you can't say
No,
that.
I mean it's just looking at the faces that he was giving Sharon. I really, I loved it.
I
I loved
thought
it.
you were quite sensitive about it, actually. Like when
Well,
he
it
said
was,
he'd
but it
show
was just
you but the results together.
just the look at but what's Keanu left? He was sort of like, I
Mm-hmm.
see what I've got in front of me
Anything you'd
now.
like to admit to?
Yeah, trollop. So yeah, Phil is the dad. I mean, where does this leave us? Like, what is going to happen here? So, go on.
Well, at the start of the week, I was adamant. I was like, oh, for God's sake, Rob were right, weren't they? Karen's told Sharon. She already knows. She's plotting. She's doing it all. Brilliant. Then the week progressed, and I'm like, no, does she know? So then she finds this out, and then I'm like, oh, well, we'll get to it. We'll get to
Yeah,
it.
well
My
on that,
theory at the end of the week on it. Go on.
well, on that, I don't think Karen knows anymore. I don't think Sharon knows about that
Sharon.
anymore. Yeah, I don't think Sharon knows about that anymore. There was a brief moment at the
I'm
end of the week
still
where
not sure now.
well, I don't think she does now because they had that row in the Vic, which kind of led me to believe that there wasn't any sort of level of understanding between them.
Yeah, but I
So
don't think there is any level of understanding because I think the point is that Karen said it to try and split Sharon and Keanu up, and
yeah,
Sharon's trying to play to Karen that I'm not bothered, but actually she probably wasn't. Is plotting revenge.
maybe,
I
maybe we'll
don't know.
have to wait and
But
see how
then
the
you'd think that Karen would tell Keanu, but they're not on speaking terms, are they?
No, I mean this all does really now lead me to wonder how the hell Karen's going to leave because there's now more mystery than ever surrounding that. I mean,
She's
what
still got the bag of cash though
she has, and she's kind
that
of
she's
still
hiding.
she's still very kind of stressed about that. What we should mention this week, the most shocking event the entire week. Bailey appeared this week. I
Ain't
couldn't
she
believe it.
tall?
And this is what happens with kids, Ree.
I
But
know.
the next
Gosh,
time,
when will we learn?
I know, but like, oh, she was so smaller when she started, wasn't she? She was only a tot. And
Yeah.
now she's kind of growing up and growing up. The next time we see her, she'll be middle aged. The way the way
Yeah.
Bailey's appearances go. But it was nice to see Bailey. Bless her. It was nice to see her. I mean, I love this. I have to say. Now, did you know, Ree? Obviously, relationships on EastEnders have fans. Okay. Now, obviously, you've got the Ballum fans. We all know
Oh
about
yeah.
we all know about the
Shiani.
Ballum fans. And Sue Keeve has a big fan
Yeah.
base. I didn't realise until this story has been kicking off the past couple of weeks how big the Shianu fan base
Shianu.
is.
Yeah.
It's huge.
Yeah.
I had no
Yeah, I've seen
idea.
that. Yeah, I know.
And they're furious about this little development. Oh, they're
Oh
not happy at
yeah, they
all.
will be.
Oh,
I mean, are you happy? Because I'm not, if I'm
yeah.
honest.
Oh, I
Oh,
am.
you
Oh,
are.
I like this. Yeah.
Oh.
See, the thing is, I have always but this is the thing. I don't think that Sharon and Keanu are meant to be together.
Oh, see,
I
I don't mind them together. Actually, I think they kind of work. I'm a Shianu
Are you a
gob.
Shianu shipper? Are
No,
you?
yeah, I don't mind them though. I don't. I think I like how it's turned. I wouldn't like to see Sharon back with Phil now because I think it's just a bit too predictable with them two, to be honest.
The maddest thing here is the fact that, considering the history of Sharon and Phil, it's mad that this is the first kid they've had together. Really, you kind of think, oh, surely they must have had kids together, but they haven't. This Albie is their only child together. Considering the history between Sharon and Phil, you kind of you think that they've had kids together, but it's so this is officially going to sort of really cement them together as a pairing. Now, I agree with you to the extent that, Sharon and Phil is sort of just like they're awful for each other. They're toxic together. Sharon surely should know this by now. But this, I think, might be leading us into the ultimate sort of, and this is what I was referring to earlier when I said that this might be the thing that breaks up Kat and Phil and puts
Yeah.
Kat and Alfie back together, and then ultimately might end up bringing Sharon and Phil back together. Um, Sharon is sort of floored by the revelations that she discovers this week. She doesn't really know how to deal with it. I think at first she's sort of like, right, well, I'm just gonna have to be honest. I'm gonna have to be honest, and then she realizes, well, it is nearly Christmas. I might save it for then. Uh, because obviously she's still going to get married to Keanu. I mean, this is how it's all going to come out, isn't it? Like it's all going to come out on Christmas Day.
Well,
And
they even mentioned, didn't they, having a Christmas Day wedding? They were all
yes,
mentioning that.
so
So
that's definitely
obviously,
happening. So we
yeah.
know that we know the Christmas Day wedding happens.
Well,
Whatever
yeah,
people
yeah.
know at the time, we know that it's happening. Zach currently is the only person that actually knows what's going on. So it's not like someone she doesn't trust holds the secret at the moment. So how do we think this is going to play out? Is she just going to get a guilty attack and end up telling Keanu on their wedding day, or what do you think?
Or if she doesn't know about what Keanu did, is she going to find out about what he did with setting up Albie as missing, and that'll make her
Yeah,
go, "Oh,
that'll
it's
be
not
enough.
even
Well,
yours."
that'll be enough, won't it? Yeah. So what do we think then? Karen is going to tell Sharon the truth about what happens, and then Karen ends up getting arrested or something and taken away, and that's the end of Karen. And then it's left for the explosions and everything to be left behind for us to watch out on play out on Christmas Day.
Well, I still do wonder if Karen has already told Sharon, and then
Mm.
when she goes to obviously speak to Phil to tell him the truth, which I was surprised at the fact that she was going to do it so soon and not tell Keanu first, which is a bit harsh.
Mm.
But is that why she wasn't going to tell Keanu first? Because she knows about the
Well,
secret.
this is the other thing that sort of makes me think that Sharon doesn't know what went on, because when she found this out, if she was angry about that originally and then discovered this, you'd kind of think, oh, actually, that makes my life 10 times easier then, because I can just now. Do you know what I mean? So I feel like she doesn't know about that. Otherwise, this wouldn't be as much of a quandary to her.
And see, I wonder if she does know about it, and then heard Phil say that, then went to Keanu, and then were like, "Oh, but out of the two of you, even though Keanu
Uh,
did that,
yeah,
you'd still be a better dad than Phil. Like you're
given the
more
opportunity,
caring."
given
And
the choice here, who would you rather be the dad to your child out of Phil and Keanu?
yeah, Keanu. Yeah, got to be Keanu on it.
Do
Yeah,
you know what I mean? I mean, it's a tough choice, but I think Keanu would just about win over it with Phil.
yeah.
But she's got more trust with Phil. She's got more of a history with Phil. She knows Phil more than she does Keanu, arguably. So
True.
but then that scene between Sharon and Phil was just frustrating, because you sort of just like, are you about to tell him? And then he says one insensitive comment because you know what Phil is like.
Yeah,
And that's enough for you to
yeah.
go, right, no, I'm not telling you. And then just storms out of the room after downing Cat's wine. So I don't know. But I like it. I really like this twist. Now I'm trying to think back to the original DNA test. I've got a feeling it had something to do with a toothbrush. I've got a vague memory of they
Ah,
did something where they got the DNA from a toothbrush. I think Keanu might have been living there at the time or something. And there was the implication that the wrong DNA could have been sent. And then obviously it's not been addressed for ages. And now we
and
know that it was.
and the doctor that she saw said something about cross contamination as well.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah. Yeah,
mm,
so great. I mean, yeah, I do like this, but like I said, the Shiani fans are apocalyptic with rage about this. They are
I've just
sulfurous.
got used to it being Albie, and I
And
don't know, maybe
Keanu,
I'll get
yeah.
used to it. Keanu. Sorry, so maybe I will get used to it being Phil, but I don't know why. I would just prefer it to be Keanu, who's
So
the
would
father.
Sharon, arguably. So would
Well,
Sharon.
yeah,
But I see. But with this, I feel like they are slowly removing reasons as to why Keanu has reasons to stay on the square. Because if Cameron is leaving, Albie's not his
Albie's not
son.
his.
So what is there for Keanu to stay around for in the long run? Because obviously, when he finds out about this,
Ah,
he ain't gonna want to be with Sharon.
we'll
So
want to go and see his daughter Peggy, surely then,
yeah, or in terms of
or he won't
characters,
see anyone.
he won't see anyone because all he's going to see is the varnish of the Vic floor.
Oh, yeah, possibly. Maybe Phil will even go after him when he finds out what he did to his
More than
son.
I think that's more than likely whatever happens because Phil. It's been a while since Phil's gone after somebody, and I think Phil always misses it. Phil's always up for an opportunity to go and kill someone with a baseball bat. So yes,
Well, Phil doesn't get his hands dirty directly, though, does he? To be
no, that's
fair,
true. Unless he's really really angry, and then he'll do it
yeah,
himself. Um,
yeah,
I mean, I do wonder about this. I mean, I do like it. I really, really liked this as a twist. It was a great duff when you sort of
yeah.
realise, oh, that's what we're saying here, is
And
it? That's
Phil was there
interesting.
as well.
Phil was there outside the window, so she's staring at these two men in her life. I mean, what Sharon must be going through here is just to like her mind must be melted with this. Like, what do you even do if you were Sharon in this situation? What would you do?
Tell the truth, to be
You tell the
fair.
truth straight away.
Yeah.
This is why you'd make a rubbish soap character, because you couldn't couldn't tell you'd be like immediately. Oh, you've got no consideration about the fact that Christmas is
Well,
coming up, saving nothing for Christmas, Ray. If it was up to you, Ray, you'd have just had a crappy Christmas with just eating turkey and nothing would have happened. What kind of soap character are you?
well, do you know what though? Then having said that, Albie's got a relationship with Keanu. It's a big change. I mean, and a relationship with his nan, with Karen, his auntie
Yeah.
Bernie, like all these people that he's known all his life. All of a sudden, oh, actually, you're not related to him. That is quite a big, drastic change for
I mean,
Albie as well.
I can't help but imagine that there's a modicum of relief in Sharon that she doesn't have to be related to anybody in the Taylor family. Because what I remember
Well, a little bit,
because
yeah,
when
but then it's
Bernie
the
hugged,
Mitchells, isn't it?
yeah, well, yeah, so I mean, rock and a hard place much, but I mean, like Bernie hugged her at one point when they went to these celebration drinks and was like, "Welcome to the family," and Sharon literally looked horrified. It's like she looked as though that's the worst thing anyone could ever have said to her.
Well, will they still? Well, is there a relationship when they've not got a son together then? With Keanu
Exactly.
and Sharon? Because to be
Let's be
honest, I don't
fair.
think there is.
No, this is
No.
it. Without Albie, what
Yeah.
is their relationship?
Yeah. Is it without Albie, to be fair?
Because that's why Keanu came back originally.
Mm,
So you've got to sort of wonder what can Keanu even see a relationship between them when he discovers this?
no, probably. I don't. No, probably not. No.
Time
It's
will
all over.
tell.
It's Keanu. Right. Well, it's Keanu on floor.
Keanu on the
It's
floor.
Keanu.
There you go. Yeah.
Keanu. That's
I
it.
mean, isn't this great though? This story because every single victim, I'm convinced it is.
I
I
know.
think
Same.
potentially
And then
I
I'm
can
like,
say
well, it's obviously niche, though, isn't it?
yeah, but then obviously it's Dean, but then obviously it's Keanu. Like
Yeah,
it's
exactly. And
oh,
obviously it's
it's
Ian from a heart attack.
obviously it's
So
Ian, obviously it's Alfie, obviously it's Zach, obviously it's
yeah,
Patrick, obviously it's
yeah.
Shrimpy. Like,
Imagine if it was Shrimpy.
imagine that. Oh, I'd be heartbroken if it. I'd be heartbroken if
That'd
it
be a
was Shrimpy.
twist.
It would. So I mean, let's talk about the future of this. How is this going to play out now? So we reckon because we know that they're getting married on Christmas Day. That presumably means that Keanu wasn't going to find out a single thing until at least a
Yeah,
couple of days
at
before the
least
wedding.
Christmas Day.
So
Yeah.
this is going to settle for a good few weeks yet. Is she going to tell Phil before then? Is she going to manage to get it out before Christmas? Do you reckon?
No.
You think so? You think this is literally all? Yeah, but the secret's got to come out somehow. So presumably, what we're thinking is that Sharon will discover what went on with the kidnapping, maybe a day or so before the wedding, or on the actual
Yeah,
wedding itself, and then it's all going to blow up that way.
possibly. Or is Zach gonna tell Whitney and someone might overhear or something? Because I know that we had to have that scene with him and Sharon so that she had someone she were airing it out with, but
Yeah,
Or is she going to confide in Linda? Linda's going to get drunk and
Maybe.
tell someone. Because
Maybe.
I'm sure Sharon was looking over at Linda, like she wanted to speak to her,
Want to
and then it
speak
was
to her?
almost
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
oh, she's got
Wrong
her own
time.
stuff going
Yeah,
on, so
wrong
she didn't.
time.
So
Yeah.
maybe she will tell Linda, and then it'll be somehow like that, or I don't know. I could see that happening because they fell out recently, and if Linda does hit the bottle, then it won't
I
take
don't
much,
know.
will it?
There's so
I'm
much.
mere speculation, of
I
course,
know there's
but
so many ways in which it could go.
yeah.
But yeah, I have to say, in terms of twist, I'm really pleased with this. But I know a lot of people aren't, so that's kind of that's interesting. I did not realize how dedicated the Shianu fan base was. Like they are they are fuming about
Oh,
this.
I've not seen how fuming they are, but
Oh,
it's understandable if they're, big Shianu fans.
honestly, Chris Clenshaw, watch your back. It's like he's got a target on his back now from the Shianu fans. Yeah, so really interesting. Can't wait for next week. See how this all plays out. Who's your gold star going to this week, Ree?
What are your who is?
Who
It is
is
going
your gold
to.
star?
God, sorry, everyone. Can tell we're both tired for different
God, I'm
reasons this
so
week.
sorry. So sorry. This has been a rubbish episode. I've tried my best.
It's not been
I'm
rubbish. It's
running
just
on
not
one
been as
cup.
best,
I'm running on one
perhaps.
cup of tea. I am. I'm so sorry. So who is your gold star going to this week?
Do you know what? I'm always here for the controversy. I'm gonna have to give it to Cindy. I know I've
Oh
given it to her
yes,
several times since
you
she's been
have.
back.
You
But I
have.
actually am really enjoying Cindy. I'm really enjoying it, even though she was
She was
outrageous.
in mega
But
bit. I think this is her bitchiest week since she's been back, isn't it? It's like yes.
wow, that's why I liked her.
Meow. I think. I mean, just because I really liked the twist, I think I'm going to give mine to Sharon.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah,
fair.
I really liked the twist. Let
We've
us know
not
who.
given any to Sharon, actually, have we?
I don't think we have. No, I'm not sure how many Sharon's got, but we've got a counter going on. Don't you worry, Ree.
Yes, we have.
We'll know who's got what. Don't you worry about that. Right. So, final part of the podcast, ladies and gents, is comments from you lovely people.
So, Rob, I'm going to start us off with a DM that we've had from our
Ooh.
Instagram from
Yep.
Lana Bum. Right, you ready for this one? I
I'm
love
ready.
this one.
Oh.
Okay. Hey guys, just wanted to share a theory I have after watching tonight's episode. I don't think Avani is Ravi's daughter. We know the actress is older, and the looks when Nish was talking about Avani going to school made me think, what if it's just one of Priya's mates and they're trying to scam him? Anyway, just a thought, but could be a great plot twist.
Interesting.
That's a thought.
It is a theory. I mean, I remember when the photos were released of the two actresses, and everyone was like, "Wait, who's the mum? Who's the daughter?
Which one's which?"
Yeah. That's interesting. I mean, it's the sort of stunt Priya would pull. I'll give her that. But I kind of also think that as time's gone on with Avani, I've sort of very much sort of looked at her and go, "Yeah, you are." I feel like she is who she says she is, but there's every possible. I feel like she's definitely a child, but like, who else would she be? Is my question. I don't think they'd necessarily be mates.
Ranvi is, but
Maybe, yeah.
Well, the thing that I think Lana's got a huge point on there is how shady they were being with each other.
Yeah.
About when they were talking about school, like
There was a moment, wasn't there?
Why were
Like,
they glancing at each other?
yeah,
So
there was a
much?
moment when Priya sort of like shook her head or something at her, and I was kind of like, why is she doing that when it's just about school? What's going on there? So yeah, no, mate, there's something going on there. You're right there. Yeah.
I don't know whether she's a friend of Priya's. I think that'd be extreme, but see standards, we can have extreme.
Oh,
I think maybe that she's old. I won't be surprised if they said that she's older than she is. Because how old is she meant to be? 13?
15, I think.
15? Nugget 15?
Yeah, like he's a bit older than her, but I think they're.
And she's meant to be younger than Nugget.
I think she's like the year below him. I think was what they were saying.
Yeah, that is what we're supposed to think. But yeah, I'm not buying that. I don't know. I am, but I'm not.
This six storyline has absolutely wrecked everyone's head that we don't believe a single thing that's being said to us. It's like
Avani's going to do it. Avani's going to kill Nish.
Yeah.
On Christmas Day. There we go.
Maybe. Who knows? We spoke about the fact that Bailey was back this week. It was really nice. And Alison Riley is delighted that Bailey's back. She says, "At last, we've seen Bailey again for the first time since August. It's about time we saw a lot more of this wonderful little girl and actress, though she's not so little these days. But she isn't, because like we said, she's grown up a lot since we last saw her. I if you remember, Bailey got an award at one point, and then after after that, she's kind of faded away.
Not seen her.
No, so it was really, really nice to see Bailey again, and I hope we do see more of her. But you've kind of got to wonder with Bailey, with Karen's leaving, like what's the plan for Bailey? I mean, obviously Mitch is still going to be around, so you'd argue that there's reasons for Bailey and Mitch to stay around with each other. But
I've seen a spoiler, Nino.
That Nino, yes.
Chatham and Riley are coming back.
Yes, I saw this. So maybe this is for Karen's exit. Chatham and Riley having a sort of brief reappearance at the end. That might be quite nice for them.
So she's going to go live with them two or something.
Yeah.
Which was something we mentioned a bit ago, yeah.
Yeah, or they're coming back for her funeral, or her court case. You're just shouting down all my theories, Rhea. Don't this is no. I think it's interesting. Chatham and Riley coming back suggests that Karen's exit is a proper kind of exit. You know, as in like it's not just going to sort of be she can come back.
Tying up loose ends.
Yeah. It's interesting. We'll have to wait and see. Next comment.
I've got one from. This is not really relevant to this week. It's from our YouTube channel from last week, from Vintage Violet, who says the Sonia and Reese story is so annoying. I do hope if she gets pregnant that his wife wakes up, she divorces him over all of this, and then she and Sonia fall in love and raise the baby.
Oh,
I just thought that was kind of funny, actually. That would be quite funny if that's what ended up happening.
Yeah, I mean, right now anything could happen. We
especially with all that. She's definitely going to wake up, the wife, isn't she? So...
I think she has to. Debbie has to wake up at some point, but. It's just weird because when this story first started, I very much thought the implication was that Debbie was never going to wake up, and it was just a case of making her comfortable. But it seems that as more time goes on, at some point she's going to wake up. Yeah. Who knows?
I reckon so.
Who knows? So thank you very much for watching and listening, everybody. I'm very sorry if our tired brains have made this a less than stellar podcast as usual, but I promise next week we will inject caffeine into our veins and we shall be on the ball. Oh, we should be so on the ball. And for that episode, if you would like to get in touch with anything, you could do the following.
You can find us on Facebook at Albert Square After Dark, on Instagram and Twitter at E20 After Dark. You can like and subscribe on our YouTube channel, Albert Square After Dark. You can find us on all your favourite podcast sites. You can drop us an email at e20afterdarkpodcast@gmail.com. And if you'd like to buy us a coffee, you can do so by going on buymeacoffee.com/E20 After Dark.
There we are. Thank you very much again for watching and for listening. Ree, thank you for staying up this late.
Thank you. And Rob, thank you for eventually waking up and doing this with me.
You're welcome. You are welcome. Honestly, it was that moment, when you're late and something wakes you up and your phone's going off and then you're just in a panic because, oh my God, my life's falling to pieces. Oh, I'm late. I had to throw on a shirt and honestly.
Have you listened to the voicemail I left you yet?
No, not yet. I assume it's abusive.
I can't remember. Yeah, I think it is. I remember it's abusive. No, it might be too abusive. No, I don't think it is.
I bet it is. I know what you're like. I bet it's full of abuse. Yes. We'll have to wait and see. Right. So we'll be back same time next week in a much more awake state than we are this week. I hope it's been an enjoyable episode. Well, who knows? Until then, it's goodbye from me.
Bye from me.
See you later. Bye.
Bye.